Hey, I'm Pete Delusky from the BMX Racing Group and Chase BMX, and we're here at the start of the 2020 UCI BMX World Cup Tour. We're here in Australia for the first 4 rounds. With me, we're lucky to have Connor Fields on track. He's the current Olympic gold medalist, and he's also the 2019 USA BMX #1 Pro. That's the second time winning that title, which is respected by everyone in BMX. As we get into 2020, Connor, it's great to see you back on track, healthy as we get into the opening rounds. So tell us how your preparations are and just a quick recap of how your great 2019 season finished up.
Yeah, it's good to be here in Australia. The last time they had any World Cups here was, I think, 2008, and I was 15 years old. So this is my first time ever racing a World Cup here in Australia. So I'm really excited about that. Some new venues for the tour. We've been kind of going to the same venues for the last few years, so it's exciting to be racing somewhere new. Yeah, preparation went good. I came down here early at summertime here, so it's not a bad place to spend a little bit of time training. 2019 started off a bit rough. I was injured. I missed the first few World Cups of the season, but I finished strong. The last 4 rounds of the World Cup, I made 3 of the 4 mains, and I put it on the podium in Rock Hill. So built up some good momentum, and I'm excited to come in healthy and get the full season here this year in 2020.
Yeah, and you are a little, I would say, bashful sometimes because you didn't mention how you won the 2019 USA BMX #1 championship. The World Cup, we know, is tough. The tracks are rough. They're big and bad. There's only 10 stops, and I don't say only, but there's 10 stops, 10 rounds. USA BMX, they take a few more races, but it's the consistency there as well on all types of different tracks, but from basically like February, March to November. Like I said, you won for the second time in that title. And it kind of came down to the last weekends, but the last part of the year, you were on fire with a lot of wins. So tell us how it is to be so consistent, because we basically have kind of 2 seasons where you have the Supercross. Even on USA BMX side, you have some Supercross events, but then we go to flat hills, regular tracks, some tracks where your wheels don't even have to leave the ground at times. So how can you be so consistent on all types of tracks?
Yeah, it's tough. I think a lot of people these days really just focus in on the Supercross stuff, and they really just focus on the World Cup Tour. And for us, growing up in America, USA BMX, back then it was the ABA or the NBL, that was always the most prestigious title. We looked up to the pros that were winning, when we were kids, and it was our goal growing up in America before the Olympics was even a thing to be the #1 pro in the U.S. So for us, I think it's a little bit special. To achieve a lifetime goal that you've had since you were 6, 7 years old. But yeah, like you said, it's a totally different ball game where, in the World Cup, it's 10 stops, every round counts. So it's about being consistent, not having any really bad races, but all the tracks are very similar. And there's quite a bit of time between the events, where in USA BMX, one weekend you're racing Supercross, and 6 days later you might be on a track with dirt turns and a flat hill. That's the same starting gate that's been there since 1990. And in my opinion, I like that. I like having to be able to compete and win on all different types of terrain. It makes it fun. It makes it a challenge for me. And so I missed the opening handful of rounds of that too, injured. So I knew coming into the back half of the season, I'd have 16 opportunities for scores. And the way that the USA BMX works is you take your 10 best scores plus the final round. So I knew that I was going to have to put together some really strong races. And I was able to do that. I think I won 7 in a row at one point, which is the best run I've ever had, my whole career, winning multiple races every weekend, 3, 4 times in a row. So put myself in a good position going into the Grands where I only needed to finish second. Did exactly that, finished second, rode smart. It was an interesting position to be in, not needing to win. The other time I won the title, I needed to win. But it all went well, and I'm happy to do it twice. It's one thing to win it once, but it's another thing to back it up and do it again. So it felt really good to get it a second time.
All right, so 2019 is in the past. 2020 is here, starting a new year, and the main goal again is to make it back to the Olympics so you can defend your title. First things first, you have a new bike coming into the season, and we'll just go over it real quick for the fans, but it's the Chase ACT 1.2, which basically is just a little bit of a refinement from the ACT 1.0, different graphics, a little bit of different features that nobody will really notice, but it's just a little things to make the bike even better. And for you got on the bike and you're very scientific about all the parts that you ride. And yeah, you're a paid athlete from this company, but at the same point, you gave us the data to back it up and say, this bike for me is better. So we just want a little bit of an explanation because everybody thinks their stuff's the best if they get it for free. Where we said, yeah, we want you to ride. This is a big investment, but at the same point, you rode this, and we were able to come up with that hashtag that was win with Chase because you guys were super consistent before, but with this, it seemed to give you even a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I've been around and been riding for Chase since the very first frame, and I have my 2012 Olympic bike in my garage, and when I look at that bike next to the bike that I'm riding now, it's crazy how far they've come. Every single part that was on that bike from 8 years ago is different than what we ride today. The moment that I got on the carbon fiber frame, I couldn't believe the difference that it made. I started a win streak in 2017 when I got on the carbon fiber frame. As a big guy, I'm 6 foot tall, 195, 200 pounds. I need the stiffness. I need the rigidity of the carbon fiber frame. And then last year when we got the Icon carbon rims, it just took it a step further. And for me, the biggest place I feel the Icon rims is in the turns. I feel like I can turn so much more aggressive, and I have so much more balance in the turns now, which is really cool. And last year, we keep adding new things. Every year it seems like we keep raising the bar. We added the disc brakes, which, to be honest, I was a little skeptical at first. Like, why do we need disc brakes? It's not like we're using our brakes much except for at the finish line. But then I had to race a race when it was raining and muddy, and the brakes worked perfectly. So from that moment on, I was bought in. I was like, disc brakes are great. I can use them the same in every single weather. And yeah, it's been cool to be a part of the company and watch it evolve and keep getting better and better and better. And I think the ultimate respect to what we have is if I was fired tomorrow, please don't fire me, but if I was fired tomorrow, I would still ride the exact same stuff that I'm riding now. There's nothing out there on the market that I would choose over the stuff that I'm riding now.
All right, with that being said, thank you. But now let's get to the race at hand this weekend. So we're here in Shepparton, Australia. You've ridden the track. You just got off the track for practice. What kind of track is it, and what kind of racing do you expect for us to see once you get it loaded up there with 7 other riders?
Yeah, this track's fast. It's got a great surface. It's smooth as glass. It's going to be a little tight. It's a little bit more like the Tom Ritz design tracks that we had a handful of years ago, similar to Copenhagen, Fréjus, some of the tighter tracks that aren't as much, just raw pedaling. The second straightaway here is really, really steep and technical, and I like it because it's something different. A lot of the tracks we are racing these days are similar, even from one country to the next. So it's nice to ride something a bit different. Here, I think the first straight is going to be all important. It's going to be tough to pass here. The track's a bit tight and small. So getting out in front is going to be key. And then obviously for inside gate, lap times are going to be important. And there's a lot of really tricky spots on the track where people are going to be making mistakes. So smooth laps, limiting the mistakes, and getting to the inside and getting a hole shot is going to be key.
All right, so there you get it right here from Connor Fields, our current Olympic champion, 2-time USA BMX champion, but now it's all about the 2020 UCI BMX World Cup Tour. So let's follow Connor through his day one of racing, which is going to be tomorrow and Sunday, and then we'll catch up with him after the weekend to get a recap of how his racing went. But here you go. Here's some footage of him racing throughout the weekend. It's Pete Delusky back at the end of stop number 1 of the 2020 UCI BMX Supercross World Cup. And today was a great day for Chase BMX as we have our winner of Elite Men, Connor Fields here. Connor, was an awesome race. I know yesterday you really wanted to win. You rode well. You looked good on the track. Didn't work out. You got 4th. Still a super impressive result. But today, to win another World Cup, how excited are you to get back on the top step of the podium?
I'm super happy. I've been doing these for a long time, and it sounds a bit cliche, but every year the field gets deeper and deeper and harder. And, to get, like you said, 4th place is nothing to scoff at these days. There's so many guys that are fast these days. But, for me, when I was talking to Tori at the finish line, and he said, you've won a lot of World Cups. How does this one rank? And I think the first one's always the most special. There's nothing like the very first one. But after that, this is, the other one that really sticks out, just because I had to go through a lot of different things to get this one. So I'd say this one was almost the hardest one to get. Injuries and things like that over the last couple of years, and a couple of years where maybe I wasn't as focused on the World Cups, but I definitely didn't perform at my best when I was at them. And it was frustrating coming to these things with not feeling like I could compete for the win, and maybe hoping to make the main. And that's not, I don't like that. Like, that's not how I want to be. So I've had these ones circled on the calendar for a while. I wanted to come and really start the year off strong and perform, and I felt like it was a bit more of a neutral playing field, not being in Europe at the same tracks we've been racing for 5-10 years. So yeah, it was awesome. Super stoked, and just the way I did it, from being tired and exhausted after yesterday and the heat and all that, and just allowing or making sure I just stayed mentally tough and strong. And the turning point for me for the day for sure was that semifinal. I was in lane 5 in the semifinal, and I was just sitting up there, and I was just telling myself, like, come on, you can do this, you can do this. And it was the best lap I had all day, and that put me back on the inside, and just really lit the fire, and gave me some good confidence leading into the main.
So a win and a fourth puts you in a good position, but coming away from a weekend, the first race of the year, you had a strong year, last year on the USA BMX stuff, as well as UCI.
Yep.
Not the results you wanted, but coming away as being the USA BMX champion, having that off time. How good does it feel, like you said, to walk away from the first weekend with another win?
It was great. I think last year I did 5 World Cups out of the 10. So I was able to finish the year strong. I made 3 out of the last 4 finals, and I was on the podium on 1. And so I knew I was right there. But the hardest thing to do is jump from a 4 to 6 guy to number 1. That's the biggest jump that you can make. So I took some confidence leading into this off season, knowing that I'd won a USA BMX title, which is one of the most prestigious titles you can win. But I also finished the Supercross season strong. I knew I had some stuff to work on. I knew that a lot of hard work was going to be necessary, and I just put my head down and not, again, to be cliche, but I did the work, and I showed up here, and I really felt prepared. I spent extra time in Australia away from home to give myself the best chance to be successful, and I'm happy it paid off.
So now we got a week here in Australia, and then we move over to Bathurst for race 3 and 4 of the series. Have you been over there? Have you ridden the track? And how do you really leave? What's your expectations coming here? Like, what's going to make you happy leaving Australia from these first 4 World Cups?
Yeah, we're going to Bathurst next week. It's going to be awesome because the track couldn't be any more different than this. It's downhill, fast, and wide open, where this one was a little more tight and technical, and you had to check your speed a little bit and be smart. Next weekend, it's just pull the throttle and go. So the racing is going to be a little bit different, I think, next weekend for sure. I think some different guys that maybe struggled this weekend might step up next weekend, and vice versa. But, for me, it's great. I feel leaving this weekend like I've already, proved to myself, I don't really care what other people think, but to myself that I know where I'm at. But at the same time, winning gets addictive. You win a race and then you want to win the next one because it feels good. You don't want to win one and then go get 5th again. It's a bit like that. But I felt great this weekend, but just like always, I'm going to see, what I can improve on, what I can work on, and try to take it to next weekend and be even better.
Well, thank you, and congratulations for an awesome race weekend here in Shepparton, Australia.
Thank you.